Well, we're back.
We are back.
We're back, and we're back with our audience. There's actually audience here, you guys. I can't see them because these lights are in our faces, but they are here, and you guys look amazing, by the way. Everybody looks so great. Where are we, babe? We talked about it already.
I know, yeah. We talked about it in the last episode, but we are at Hedonism 2 in Negril, Jamaica.
Yes, we are.
And we are having the best time. We've been here since Saturday. Today is Wednesday.
Yes.
And yeah, we're rolling hard.
And as we said, we're here for Kinky Caribbean, so all of our Kinky Caribbean friends and family are here. Yay! Yes. So it just happens to also be Kink night at the resort. So everybody's dressed up in their leather gear, and so you guys, unfortunately, you can't see it, but they all look amazing. So it's really, really cool. So as we said, we've been at Hedo for quite a few days, and in this amazing Kinky Caribbean event that we've just been having a blast, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that afterwards, but we wanted to introduce you guys to some of the folks that we've met while we're here, so a couple of our co-presenters, but to also kind of give an idea about their stories, a little bit about their stories and what they do and why they're here. And we thought that'd be really fun to talk to them and kind of get some ideas and thoughts from them about this trip, this vacation, this event, and lifestyle stuff in general. So without further ado, we're going to introduce you to Paul.
Hello, everyone.
And Dr. Bing Parkinson. We just usually call him Dr. Bing or Bang, yes. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. So Paul, we've been talking a lot. So with Kinky Caribbean, we had a big Discord group, and everybody's contacting each other and writing in the group about who we are and what we're doing, and the presenters are connecting with each other. And when we started talking, we realized we have some in common about not only the kink side of things, but actually in the non-monogamy side of things. Nice. And so you commented that you kind of had a background in your non-monogamy, and so I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about that.
Yeah, I last attempted monogamy as a teenager.
Oh, so it's been a while.
And I'm 52 now. So I've had a lifetime of non-monogamy. Interestingly enough, the last time I attempted monogamy, I also failed. And that was the lesson that taught me, I think, that going into a ethical non-monogamy would make me feel better about it. Specifically, I just think I was making very big promises that I couldn't deliver on. And when you make very big promises that you can't deliver on and you're breaking them all the time, you feel like
yeah.
You just don't feel like you're the person that you want to be. You don't. And I want to live my life I want to live my life wholeheartedly and with integrity. And realizing that I was a chronic cheater when in monogamous relationships was exactly the moment when I realized there's got to be some better way. And it was a few years after that The Ethical Slut was published, which I'm sure many of your audience have read.
Yes.
And to me, it was an eye-opening because I had been, kind of fumbling my way blindfolded through trying to find some sort of culture or ethical framework for what it was that I was trying to achieve. To me, that was the crystallization moment.
Wow. So that's actually a favorite book of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we read that very early in our E&M journey, and it's been a guidepost for us, and it really helped us through when we run up against issues, when we run up against questions. We always kind of refer back to The Ethical Slut.
Yeah.
And it's a great guidepost.
It really is.
It was the book for me that allowed me to be okay with being a slut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was finally the
Me
thing
too,
that gave
big
me
slut.
permission to be able to live, not only to be able to live authentically, but that there were other people that were talking about living the same way that I wanted to live, and that's okay to talk about it in public and be open with your alternative choices.
Yeah.
So you found the book. And that really helped you.
Yep. I was I actually was dating my current partner, and my current partner of 30 something years, if you do the math. And she was working at the Women's Center at my university, and she had developed a crush on a colleague, and she wanted to develop that further. And simultaneously, she had told me, I will never trust you with monogamy. So this was like a pivotal moment. The reason she would never trust me with monogamy is because I had cheated on my previous partner with her.
Oh.
So this is like, she's totally looped into my ethical failings before I went this route. And so we ended up in a quad. Her colleague, her girlfriend, and my partner ended up in a quad. And one of the things that I found very isolating in those early years is that I had no friends I could confide in. This has all changed now. These are our friends, like the community that we're building and your podcast is building. These are our friends. But back then I had no friends I could confide in, because any friend I would complain about the tension and the drama and the instability of a quad would just say, "Shut up, Paul, you're screwing 3 women."
Right.
All I want to do when you complain about it is punch you in the mouth. And so you get very little empathy from people who haven't lived the experience. But those of you who have, I mean, one of these 3 women was a lesbian and had no interest in me whatsoever. There was a normal amount of jealousy that you would expect to see. And I just don't think these relationships are, they're certainly not for beginners, right? There's a very challenging amount of tensions to reconcile. And especially at a time before The Ethical Slut was published, like there was just so little culture and help. So it was a very challenging transition, but obviously made it through.
Right, wow. And so in the time since, you have moved on to other partners. You're saying,
yeah,
sounds like.
Well, we're still together, but I've had other partners. I'm a slut. Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's okay.
So you realized very early on, I find that fascinating that you realized as a teenager that monogamy was not going to be something that was for you. Was that challenging, dating other people, and did you talk about that, or?
Yes, I've never tricked anybody into bed. So I don't think it's a good idea to trick people into bed. Even for a one-night stand, I don't think that's a great idea. So, I mean, my entire goal was to live my life with integrity and to be a fully integrated person where I could be myself. And so, yeah, certainly, everybody has always known.
And so I want to switch a little bit now and talk about why you're also here.
Sure.
I would call you Swinky, like us.
Oh, I think so.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so a swinger and a kinkster. And so tell us now a little about the kink side.
Sure.
Paul.
Well, it's interesting because the kink is what brought me to swinging. My first experience, I'm an accidental kinkster.
Oh,
Isn't
great.
that interesting? Yeah. My
Yay,
first experience.
accidental kinksters, yes.
My first experience with kink is I had a lover in a poly context, and she really, really, I wouldn't say just wanted. She absolutely needed me to slap her very hard in the face during our sex play, and I had no experience with this whatsoever, and I really struggled with deciding to, the good giving game concept of just playing ball with what your partner wants to do, which I absolutely, but to me it was an emotional journey to get past a bit of a barrier to decide, I will do this for you. Like, there was no question of consent, okay? It's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite. There was a lot of special pleading for this moment to happen.
Right.
And but I worked it through, and I decided I wanted to do this for them. And when I did, I was extremely surprised and troubled by my emotional reaction to the situation. In that I was incredibly aroused, and I don't just mean sexually. I mean, I was absolutely alert and energized to the situation in ways that I don't think I had ever experienced in that context before. And I mean, I like sex, don't get me wrong, but this was like a completely other level that I had never experienced. I felt like this is like both a level unlocked moment and also a, Paul, what the f is wrong with you that you liked this that way?
Right.
I thought I would be doing this purely as a service, and that I would be getting nothing out of it, and in fact struggling to get to the decision to do it, But the reality was it really moved me in a visceral way. And it took me a lot of time to process that, to reconcile that with, obviously with my life partner working at the Women's Center in her undergrad. I'm a lifelong feminist. I've been very active in women in tech movements and so on. It really took me a long amount of personal work to process that. And by long, I mean like several weeks, okay? But the result was me coming to a place of acceptance that that consent is unbelievably hot, and that if you want to do a thing and your partner does too, you can create things that are on a different level than what you can in the absence of those sorts of intensities. This really is about it, that the way that your adrenaline and your endorphins all mix together in your bloodstream is a super completely new level.
Wow.
That is incredibly fascinating, because I think we have a lot in common. And I just met you 2 days ago.
Yep.
But in talking, I think we have a lot in common, because I've had that identical struggle in my kind of fledgling kink exploration. And so I thank you for telling me that. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, I had to write a poem about it. I'll share it with you later.
All right.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
And I agree 1,000,000%. And I love you, and thank you for sharing that, because it can be very challenging for people to, I think a lot of people across the board, to want to acknowledge the fact that they might be into something that feels deviant or wrong. And already, even as swingers, we're already so far outside the societal norm. Sometimes we feel like even within our own community that's even considered deviant and weird within the swinger community.
Indulge me, please, because I'd like to just make sure that your audience knows that being slapped hard in the face is not a beginner, or particularly, it's certainly not something you can ever surprise your partner with. Okay, this is relatively, I would call it, intermediate level, and certainly requires active and enthusiastic consent before you play with that stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. And we do talk about things like that. We talk about it a lot in our own journey, because our journey was such baby steps. But absolutely. And I think that as we talk about with anything, and people will hear it ad nauseum on our podcast, communication. It's all that we ever talk about. And so you have to have those conversations before that stuff even comes to play. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So, but thank you for mentioning that. And I think that there's a lot of times, what would you suggest to people to do to be able to, you said you did a lot of work for yourself, some weeks of kind of introspection, I suspect, about what that means, or
well, for me it involved writing poetry, and maybe I'll send it to you, and maybe you could even share it with the audience if they want to see it, see the poem that I wrote to work this through. But what happened was I was unable to stop thinking about anything else. I was at work, I was walking around town, and it was completely, I had intrusive thoughts about it all the time. And when that happens to me, I find a poem is helpful, because it lets me crystallize the way that I felt at that moment. And then once I've written the poem and it's complete, then I don't need to think about it anymore. I know I can come back and work on it some more just by reading my own poem, and I'll feel the same things I felt, and then I can work on it later. So that was really the bulk of it, was the couple weeks of trying to decode how I felt, trying to rationalize the power of consent to support the intensity of my feelings, and at the end of it, my partner helped me through it. You know, my partner helped me through it. Her gratitude was unfakeable, and she absolutely was extremely supportive in helping me process the feelings that I was feeling. We call that top drop sometimes. I don't know if anybody else has heard that in the audience, but that feeling is real. There's sub drop as well. I'm sure that your material will cover this, but your partner is absolutely pivotal in helping you through those feelings. And I think that was ultimately for me, introspection, writing my poetry so I could put it away and stop obsessing about it, and my partner's support was the answer. Yeah.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
Yeah. Lots of communication in multiple ways. Your own communication with yourself, your introspection, you're talking with them, your poetry. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing.
Wow.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I
Yeah, my
appreciate
pleasure.
that. And then Dr. Parkinson, Dr. Bing, thank you. Did you guys see
Thank you
Dr.
for
Bing?
having us.
Everybody see his, yes. So excited to bring Dr. Bing here. So excited to bring Dr. Bing here because we had the pleasure of seeing his presentation yesterday. Gosh, it feels like it was a week ago, but it was just yesterday. It was probably 24 hours. But it was so fascinating because, as you guys know that listen to our podcast on a regular basis, I am going through my own kind of journey, my own midlife lady issues. And so started working with a functional medicine doctor and talking about some of those things, hormones, libidos, what does that look like? Why am I struggling? And as our audience knows, as our listeners know, that has been something that's really been troubling for me. And we talked about it very briefly. But tell us about what your specialty is.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of give people a little background. I'm a traditionally trained, board-certified internist, and a couple of years ago, I thought, there's got to be a better way, and there's got to be a way to help more people live life to the fullest, and I mean everywhere in life, from their sexual life to their personal lives to anxiety, depression, you name it. There's got to be a better way. So I kind of came into some of this by accident myself, with illnesses that I had struggled with that I had to overcome, and I developed a company that does things differently, and we address the whole person, and we get people just like yourself back in line to being who you are, and not who, unfortunately, life and the loss of hormones and things have left you with. And we pick the pieces up and we let people have beautiful, full lives. It's a big thing we do, and we do way more than just sexual health. It's a huge portion of the things that we do, because everyone here knows that a sexually fulfilling life is fantastic. Am I right?
Yes.
It's one of those things that, and if we can do it in such a way that prevents us from having this huge anxiety and guilt reflex and all these other things, and keeps us young and healthy for a very, very long time, why not?
Right.
So that's the approach that I took. This is kind of how I came into this, and thankfully for Kinky Caribbean for kind of a chance meeting. And this is how we ended up here totally by accident, with a chance meeting with Kinky Caribbean, and they sponsored us to come down for our talk. And it was just fantastic to get to talk to a whole diverse group of people who are so willing and so open to hear what the things that are out there that can change their lives. So that's kind of my background. So I have extensive training in hormone therapy and using hormones that actually are meant to be used, the ones that don't cause cancer per se and don't cause long-term problems, ones that are going to make you live a nice full life. And I spent a lot of time finding those things that actually work for people. And part of the thing that I probably do different than a lot of doctors, that I would go out on all the little Facebook groups, and I would join some of the support groups, and I would listen to people's problems. And very wise old doctor once said, if you listen long enough, your patient will tell you what's wrong with them. If you listen even longer, they'll tell you how to fix it. So one of the first things I did was listen. And I went out and started listening to people's issues, whether it be weight, anxiety, their sexual issues, whatever it was. And then I came back and said, well, what can we do to fix that? What can we do to address that? What can we do to make their journey their own? And it's not one size fits all. Every person that's in our audience has their own journey, and you should be treated that way. You should be treated that this is your journey, and someone should be there for you. So that's how my approach to things have been.
So in case you guys didn't see that, that is why we asked Dr. Bing to be here, because that does not feel amazing for someone to say that yes, we're going to help you with that. And so thank you.
I appreciate that
Yes.
from everyone here.
Yes. So I wanted to say though, in your talk, this is something that we've talked about. So swingers in the lifestyle in our mid 50s and moving forward, and we get the chance to meet just so many amazing swingers and people in the lifestyle that are in all ages and ranges. And when Tristan and I first got in the lifestyle, we were younger, 5 years younger, and our bodies weren't going through these changes, and we were pretty invincible 5 years ago, and especially when you're learning something new. And I learned how to be multi-orgasmic and all this great stuff, and so we were never thought we would ever need help with anything, and who does that kind of stuff, and men put stuff in their and all this other kind of thing. And so there's still a lot of taboo around a lot of that. And hearing you speak yesterday was so amazing. The attitude that you have about that, about educating people. So I wanted to see if you could kind of share a little bit of that idea about the why nots.
I will. And so, as you both found, every once in a while the universe throws a wrench in things. And a wrench in things that we all love. A wrench in things that we all want to continue to love. So how do we approach that? I always give a little spill in some of the very beginning of my talks when we do these things about the conversation between a patient and a doctor and how that conversation goes. And your traditional doctor, one, they're very uncomfortable talking about these things. Not only that, you're very uncomfortable talking about these things to a very stiff-necked, conservative physician who really is there to treat you and get you out the door. Treat you and get you out the door because there's 25 other people waiting in line. So there's a different approach. I tell everyone, that we need to normalize all of this. The conversation I have is, it's not taboo. It's not wrong. These are not things. You should be able to go to your doctor and trust that say, I'm having these problems. And they should look at you and say, tell me, let's hear it. And then they should say, well, here's what we can do to address that. Here's what we can do to fix that. And they should be able to give you examples because hopefully they're helping other people through these things. And you'll find that regular physicians, and trust me, I've been there. Before I made this real commitment and changed my life to do things differently for people, I was that doctor. I was that doctor that you came in and I got you done and I got you out because that's the way healthcare is. There's not time. So I decided in my own practice and my own things outside is I'm giving every patient all the time they need. And not only that, I'm building the trust that they need so they can be open with me. It doesn't matter what lifestyle you're in. I don't care which end you're on. I don't care if you're a very traditional. I don't care if you're a kinkster. I don't care if you're a regular swinger. What I care about is you. And that's the sense that you need to have. Every person that comes through that door, that's what they need to have. They need to have that, I know that I can express what I need to your physician. And there are other people out there, not just myself, guys. There's other people that have chosen to do things like I'm doing. And they give you the time. Like I personally have chosen in my own practice, instead of seeing 25 people a day, which is the national average for an internist, I never see more than 12, ever. And if I have someone who I know that they just need more time, they get more time. And my lovely wife is in the audience and she manages my practice and she knows when those people come in, we make sure they have all the time in the world that they need. And that's how we address that, because you have to build that trust. And you may come tell me something that you're totally comfortable saying because you know that this is what I do, that you then may not go back and talk to your regular doctor about because you know you're just not that comfortable with them. And you know that they're not going to be able to relate. They're not going to be able to give you that trust back or the empathy back or the things you need to get you back on track. And the next thing is they need to quit treating you as a number. Like you don't come to the clinic to say, I have normal numbers from your doctor, and then leave feeling as poorly as you did when you came in. You need to go to a physician that the goal is we have a plan for you to feel better by the time you leave that door. Don't get me wrong, lab numbers, all these things, we need to have them. We need to know what baselines are. We need to know everything else. But those mean nothing. The person that is in front of you means everything. And that's what you have to have. And that's the relationship you have to build. And when you do that, people from all lifestyles then can come in and they can share what they need to get better, to be better, to feel better, to overcome whatever it is. And trust me, we hear everything. I mean, people tell us things that you would I'm like the bartender of physicians. People come to me with their, whatever it is. And in the very beginning, sometimes they're a little shocked and that they can actually do this. But anytime you come to my clinic specifically, and other people, it's the same thing, I'm sure there'll be other people like me, they'll come in for anything. And I'll ask, how's your sex life? And they'll be like, I'm here for a cold. I'm like, when you're part of the family, and we really treat our clients and patients that way, I will ask you things that make you a little uncomfortable that first couple of times. And then they will know in the future, like, oh, it's actually okay to say this. And almost everybody out there, and I guarantee people in this audience, if you came to me the first time too, and I'd say, how's your sex life? You'd give me the very canned, oh, it's great, it's fine, it's blah, blah, blah. And then the next time you'd come to see me, you'd be like, actually, I need to talk to you about something. My spouse can't keep up with me, or I can't keep up with my spouse. And we get that all the time. But that's the trust that has to be built. And it's like anything, it takes time. It takes time.
Absolutely. And we talked about also in your conversation, you talked about that. So having a doctor, and if it can't be you, definitely finding a doctor that you can trust and talk to about this. And there are you guys out there. Yeah. I have found one. You are one. There are those out there. I think one of the things that is really can continue to be taboo is taking things that may make you feel better, and why are those, not necessarily looked down on, but you are so strong about why wouldn't you do something to make yourself feel better? Why wouldn't you, if for instance, a trimix, which is an injection that men put in their penis to get an erection, that why wouldn't you do that if that makes it better for you? And I don't know, I think people are really torn on that because they don't know that they can do, or if it's okay to do these, or does that mean I'm a broken person because I need a...
And we get this a lot, and actually men who come through the door, most of the time by the time they've come to me, it's because we don't advertise at all. I'm like, our advertisement is you, or whoever else comes and sees us. By the time they come to me, they already know that I do things differently, and they're kind of just ready to step past that taboo of, is this wrong to take? Am I not a man if I take this? Is there something wrong with me if I take this? They're on that cusp, that precipice, and it's okay for them to come in. And then we explain to them that why would it be wrong, or why would you be less of who you are if I were to give you something that allows you to do what you want to do? There's nothing wrong with that. Not only that, it's not only going to help you, you have a partner, most of you, some of you may have several partners, or you may be finding a partner. It's not just for you. It's now all of a sudden for more than just yourself. That means that you're actually more of the masculinity thing I bring up a lot, because this throws a lot of wrenches and things. That makes you more of the man or the person or whoever for stepping up and doing what was best for you, your partner, your friend, family, whatever it was that got you there and needed you to be there. There's nothing taboo with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And the same for women. This is a conversation I get a lot too. I get husband talks or the wife talks. It doesn't matter. This goes back and forth. And they say, they just don't have the interest they used to have. I'm not even sure if they're attracted to me anymore. They're still really good sports. They come and do the things we want to do, but I don't see that they get the pleasure out of the things they used to. They don't get to the finish line like they used to. They just don't seem to have the interest or the ability to get there like they used to. And these dynamics we hear all the time. And the shocking thing is I tell them that it's not that they don't love you. It's not that they're not interested. It's that they actually have a neural brain chemistry issue that we can fix. They're perimenopausal, menopausal, whatever it might be that has now started to take away some of their ability to be that same person again. We can bring that person back. They are still in there, and we can help you get that person back. And that's something that because couples, when I'll give you some statistics here, and I mean, probably not everyone's favorite. The number of divorces that are initiated, and we're all actually there's a lot of people who are in very open relationships, so we're going to use the statistics that probably doesn't mean a hell of a lot for a lot of people here, but it's going to be helpful. The number of divorces initiated by men versus women. Before menopause men, after menopause women. Why is that? Women lose who they are with perimenopause and menopause. We take away hormones that actively make their brain work and function differently. We take away hormones that allow them to sleep, allow them to control anxiety, allow them to be who they are when they become menopausal. And there's this idea in medicine that that's a normal part of aging. That's just okay for you to be that way. It's okay for you to be miserable. It's okay for you to be miserable with night sweats, to not feel well, to not do well. No, we can fix that so you can be the person you are again. The same person that your spouse fell in love with. The same person that you used to love that right now you may not know who it is. And that happens. And that's something you need to do to bring things back. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing taboo with that. There's nothing wrong whatsoever with saying, I'd like to be that person again. I'd like to have the energy of that person again. I'd like to be interested again. I'd like to go out and do these events with whoever I'm doing them with, be it 1, 2, 3, however, whatever it is. And I want to enjoy life again. There's nothing taboo with that. And I tell everyone here too, if you feel that way, if you feel it's taboo, if you feel like you can't talk to your doctor in that kind of manner, find another doctor.
There you go. Right.
Absolutely.
Right. I think we're going to have Dr. Bing on
No,
for another episode
Yeah.
and talk a lot
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, so I'm about 8 months into probably a year-long project of collecting enough data points on my journey with specifically trimix that we've talked about. Started with the trimix mishap, and that we'll talk about in detail. But I need to learn everything. Unfortunately,
I'd be happy to come back.
Unfortunately, I was working. I had to miss your talk yesterday, but we talked afterwards, and I was just fascinated. So we are definitely going to have many more conversations, and I would love to have you on to talk probably in a couple of months when I put this episode together to talk about my, at that point, year-long journey on kind of rediscovering myself in the same way that Myrina has been doing with
And
her
it's
doctor.
fascinating because it is a journey too where you get to rediscover yourself.
Oh yeah,
you know?
It's a total game changer.
Yeah.
What I've
Yeah.
learned thus far, and my eyes have been way opened just in the last.
And
24
I
hours
do
talking
believe
to
we're
you.
going to try to do the talk again tomorrow.
I think, I did hear that, by the
Yes.
way, yeah, too.
And I will be there.
But I just wanted to say thank you to both of you so much for coming and sitting here with us this evening in this beautiful Jamaican evening. In case it's a little bit hot and sweaty, in case you guys didn't figure that part out, but it really is. But it's beautiful, and this week has been an amazing week. I don't know about you guys, but we've just met. All you guys are amazing out there, our fabulous audience. Give us a shout out. Clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves. It has been so fun, and I don't know. We talk about it often. We'll talk about it more. I had no idea. I had no expectation, and so anything that I even thought it was going to be this week has been better. And
Right.
just meeting everybody and with everybody, and so everybody has been so wonderful. I don't know why I would have thought differently, but of course, everybody has.
Well, so for me, I've been so busy that it's like, oh, we're leaving tomorrow. I got to pack, and so my brain has not been in this until what we got here, and then I had things blow up at work. But I've had the most amazing 4 days since we've been here, and we've met the most amazing people. And thank you.
We're liking at our leader over there.
At our
at our
convocations
organizer,
leader,
yes.
yes, organizer.
But thank you both so much for being here with us, and I hope that we'll see you again next time that we do this event or any event or whatever. But thanks for sharing your stories. And
We would love to.
Thank you.